what's the level of panic Mercedes should feel going into the second half of the season, if at all?
I think there is certainly an element of confusion and a need to get to the bottom of what's wrong with this car because, and this has been the case basically throughout this regulation set. So since 2022, when the regulations changed in a big way, the Mercedes have never truly been comfortable with the direction that they're going. The car's always had some issues, and it seems that since the Spanish Grand Prix, which remember we made this big song and dance about the new front wings and would it upset the title battle and all this kind of stuff. Well, it seems that the team that it impacted the most was Mercedes, and not necessarily, well, I mean, to some extent from a performance point of view, but mainly because it seems to have unbalanced the car. And one of the things teams were doing with those front wings was helping to get that aero balance. So difficulty with these cars is that getting a car to turn in slow corners and then not oversteer or be snappy in high speed corners. That's been a real balance route. And it seems that Mercedes are struggling with that again. And if they trace it back, they look to Spain as a starting point. Okay, they won the next race in Canada, but it was a track where there's really only one corner type, so it's easier to set up a car. But since they've been to these tracks where you really need a more well-rounded car, they've struggled. And then they came to Spa and they thought, well, it's a race they won last year. They nearly got a 1-2 had George not been disqualified for plank wear, but Lewis Hamilton still won the race when he was disqualified. And they went there, cool conditions, everything seemingly kind of traits that would help the Mercedes cars of recent years. And again, they were nowhere. They were the fourth fastest behind Ferrari, Red Bull, and McLaren. And that, I think, is a concern. So they've called some meetings this week to really try and look at what they've added to the car. Not so much what's been taken away with that front wing because they can't go back on that, but what have they added since then that may have also created some issues? Because Andrew Shoveling talking about it, he's their trackside engineer, chief trackside engineer, and he said that it's not just the front wing. There's other stuff that they've introduced that has created this imbalance in the car. And George, being a quite experienced, very capable driver, has been able to drive around those issues and still grind out some semi-decent results, but still not where he was at the start of the year. But I think it's really hit Antonelli's confidence because all of a sudden Antonelli's going into these corners, not sure what the car's going to do underneath him, and he just doesn't have that wealth of experience, confidence to deal with it. And as a rookie with the high pressure that he has been at Mercedes, it seems to have resulted in the spiral down. And that's a bit of a concern because we know Antonelli is very capable. If we look back to Miami, that pole position for the sprint race was mighty impressive. There were other examples as well where he just looked very, very comfortable, confident in the car, and a lot of that has been stripped away. And that's a concern for them going forward. So I think that's why they're so keen on getting to the bottom of this in this regulation set, because of course we change again into 2026, but just to make sure that one, they understand it, because a problem that is on this car may translate into the next car if you don't solve it, and two, just to give Antonelli the confidence he needs to extract the best of his performance. So it's not a good situation for Mercedes by any stretch, but one that they're certainly fully focused on trying to fix.
Yeah.